Greetings, Commanders! Welcome to another Fireside Chat video. Lately, a lot of people have been noticing that Tier 12 is broken. I mean, it's kind of something we knew. We knew it after Tier 11, and Tier 12 came out, and it was like a huge jump. Strength and Weaken worked the same on them, but they had this Terror Space ability that kind of ignored Strength and Weaken, so all the great opportunities Tier 9 and 10 players had against Tier 11 was thrown out the door because Tier 12 just overpowered the troop meta. And then Vega replaced Golem, and it really became evident that airships are so much more powerful than everything else because for the last 2 or 3 seasons, the developers have been pushing defense gear, right? We've got the Gift of the Valkyrie, we got the Armor of the Tyrant, which isn't this. And then, of course, we did get Titans, which is a damage weapon, but it wasn't so ridiculous that, I'll say the Titan was good, but they gave us 2 defensive gears, one attack gear, and when you started combining the defense of the gear with the 3 and 4 set gems with commanders like Rogers, it really got ridiculous, right? Like Rogers with Tier 12 airships and defense gear is so stupid. It's almost like the developers made a commander that they were just like, listen, we need money. We need a commander people are going to buy. I want to see us hit $100,000 in Play Store money this weekend. Do it. And then the developers launched a commander that every boss in the game was just like, oh, it's an airship commander? Great. Oh, he goes defense immune? And, great. He's a must-have commander because he's invulnerable by round 1 if you don't kill him? Great. And that's what they did. They made this commander that's just way too powerful. And for a time, we knew about it. Everyone was aware of it. And it was just like, all right, build Rogers pure defense, go immune, and survive the first round, and you win. And that's just how it was. And there was no way to beat Rogers. Of course, there were ways, right? But if some boss player had the highest level troops, the highest leadership with the highest gear, there was no counter to Rogers. Even if you had the highest level leadership and the highest commander to normally counter him, which would be an infantry commander, it wouldn't work. And then Plasma wouldn't work. And it was just a stupid polarized commander. And then with Tier 12, now, not only do you have a stupid Tier 12, or do you have a stupidly overpowered commander, you also have troops that you cannot use Strengthened Weakened effect with. And they're airship troops that have massive HP as a natural stat, because that's what the airships have. As HP and defense, that's their go-to stat instead of dodge instead of attack, dodge, crit, accuracy. No, they just have defense and HP. Well, Terror Space works off of HP, and now all of a sudden you have these super hard-hitting airships that shouldn't hit so hard, that also have an incredible amount of dodge, that have that Terror Space ability, which ignores Strength and Weakened effects. So it's like, why? Why are airships hitting so much harder than infantry Terror Space? They shouldn't be. So the game's broken. And I guess I'll just bring this rant back to where this video starts. A lot of people have been talking about little fragments of issues. The issue with gear, the issue with troops, the issue with commanders, the issue with Tier 12. It all comes back to this central argument that the meta's figured out, and this is the conversation we need to have. We need to get everyone caught up going into Season 7, and we need to really push the development team to fix our game. Because, yeah, I get it. Not everyone's a boss player. 98% of us aren't, right? We're just playing the game trying to fit our niche and do what we do with the commander we choose to play, and everyone has a different play style based on their commander. But the in-game meta for everyone's guild boss, the leader of your guild, the guy that everyone's rallying behind to send their resources to get big, is still going to have this major issue that we're dealing with, is that Rogers is the boss, Tier 12 airships are better than anything else, and you have to just stack defense and go toe-to-toe with him. And the only counter is Reinhardt, which is another airship commander, which isn't a perfect solution. And if you want to destroy both of them, 1-slot Vega is a great offer, or even a full March Vega, because his heal is so good, and Reinhardt and Rogers are all defense, so he can even heal through a lot of their nonsense. But that's 3 airship commanders with the Terror Space ability that ignores Strength and Weaken effect, with guaranteed hit skills, right? Because Reinhardt's Thorns are guaranteed hit, Roger has Tyrant Cometh, and Vega has guaranteed hit on his Breakdown, which ignores defense. So you have 3 massive commanders that all kind of counter each other. And then what else do you have? You got infantry, which is basically Stella, because Elixir was a bust. She should have been a triple strike. And then you have Elf. Elf is amazing. Elf is great against Reinhardt and Vega. She'll get absolutely destroyed by Rogers, though. Just obliterated. And same with Stella. Stella will get obliterated by Elf. And obliterated by Rogers. But I don't know. That's kind of where I want to centralize it. I've got to focus this all down. These are the conversations that the big officers, the big players, the big guild leaders need to be talking with themselves. Where do we go from here? What do we do with Season 7? Because if the commanders don't change, and the troops don't change, and the gear doesn't change, I'm not talking about 1 or 2 commanders. They need to fix Tier 12 entirely. I mean, there's a lot of changes that need to happen. Infantry commanders need to get a big boost. Stella, I don't like the way Stella plays. I get it. I understand why people play Stella. I got a Stella in the make, just ready to be turned into my main one day. She's close. But I really don't like the 1-slot bust meta. It's very polarizing. It's very high risk. I do it with bullet with no risk. It's just, I don't love it. There needs to be a better solution, like a guaranteed trigger rate. Instead of this 60% with Stella, maybe make it 80%. Or make it like Elixir, where she's guaranteed at least attack twice or a third time. If Elixir was a triple strike, I'll say this over and over until they fix it. Elixir shouldn't be twin. It should be triplet. Just throw another head on her when she gets S-class and make it a triple strike or something. I don't know. But there needs to be a chance at more damage here. And when the terror space goes off, it should work on each attack, and the terror space should be higher. Okay, let me dial this back. Okay, getting a little excited about this video, guys. I've been making videos like this, and I haven't decided if I wanted to release them to just people who are subscribers, or if I just wanted to say them just to get them out of my head so I can kind of revisit the ideas as they come out naturally. But there's a lot that's been going on in my head, and I keep going back and saying, okay, it needs to be a complete overview of the Season 6 meta. That's the main talk here. That's what we're talking about. But I need to drop down into the facets. And so let's address the commander issue first. Then we'll address how to fix Tier 12. And then we'll address how to fix Rogers. I can fix Rogers. I can fix Tier 12. I don't know what to do about the commander. I mean, I do. Make Elixir a triple strike. Make Stella 80% chance. Boom. Now infantry is going to have a chance to fight airships. They're going to be a proper counter. But that's still not enough. Walker needs help. You have Elf, which is like the Walker version of Rogers, which I think is great. But we really do need a better solution for the Walker class. Rock is great. He's like Bullet, but he's not a main commander, and he gives away points in galactic battle. So unless they want to change the way the points work, I don't know if Rock is going to be more viable than he is right now. I would like to see Moonshadow or Galileo. See, if Galileo got pumped to 60-80 instead of 40-60, Galileo would be a monster. He'd have a perpetual heal that goes on, and his damage increases more and more. He'd be a great commander. Of course, all these commanders are going to fall victim to Rogers because Rogers is broken. Because he can go immune after the round 1, it makes him just the new answer to everything. He's the fucking boss, so you have to deal with Rogers. You know how you fix that? You make it so that at level 60, at 80% chance to trigger, Rogers can only get 15%. 15% damage reduction. What does that add up to? 90%? 15 times 6. So if he triggers it 6 times in a row, he reduces 90% of the damage he receives. If Rogers could never go damage immune, only up to 90%, then Rogers would still be an incredibly difficult commander to fight, but also he would be manageable. You wouldn't get blown out by Dodger Roger. Dodger Roger shouldn't be so powerful. That's when you put all dodge gear on Rogers, and all you have to do is survive the first round, and then he just knocks away at the opponent with small amounts of troops because it's all dependent on the guaranteed hit and the dodge. Anyway, if you don't know what Dodger Roger is, watch the video. But what I'm saying is that even if you put the new pants on him, what are these new pants called? The Fearless pants, that total damage reduction, these can still work. They just won't factor into Rogers' equation. So let's say you were going to hit Rogers for 100 damage. First, you would calculate Fearless. Fearless would take off 20% of that damage. So you would hit Rogers for 80. We'll call it 80 damage. Then Rogers' skill kicks in, and he reduces 90% of 80 damage, which is... never do math. It's like 72 damage. Or 72 reduced, so 8 damage. Something like that. That would be fine. He would still take some damage. Some troops would die. It wouldn't go on for 100 rounds. But that way, no one can ever be damage immune unless they're using tier suppression. And I think that's just a necessary thing. I think Rogers needs to be taken off his pedestal. The airship overpowered strength needs to come down a notch. But then we have one more major issue. Actually, I have two more major issues. I'm not done. I want to talk about Plasma too, because I'm sick and tired of what they're doing to Plasma. Plasma was the greatest commander. He was so much fun for the middle level spender to realize, like, okay, in Galactic Battle, I'm not the biggest spender, or my guild is not on the same level as our opponent guild, but I can always send a Plasma Bomb in and trade for more points than I give away. Not anymore. Not with Tier 12. Can't do it. They have so much HP and defense that a Plasma Bomb with high tier troops doesn't kill enough. You want to see an example? I took a hit last week during the live stream, in our PvP live stream. We were playing Magic cards and whatnot. Let's see if I saved it. I might have saved it. I didn't. I'll have to go down and watch it. It's not too far down. But I decided I wanted to take a hit from the Tier 12 boss on our server, and against his Tier 12, I wanted to see what it could do. Well, here's what it is. He sent, look at his gear, 40, 45, 45, 45, 45. Okay, so this guy's no slouch. Right? He's got a huge Stella. I think he's max leadership, right? Hit me for 4 million something. Yeah, he's max leadership Stella with Tier 12. I don't think he has much. He didn't. Okay, well, watch the replay. Look at my gear. 20, 25, 20, 20, 20. Pretty respectable standard Plasma build with Tier 10 infantry, which is some of the best infantry in the game. Here's the replay. I get first strike. I'm defender. Look what I'm up against. Infantry in the back, I should do well against the infantry in the back. Airships in the front, I got 300 Tier 10 infantry. I should do some damage. So I get one shot, and you can't really see the damage because so much happens there. Not enough troops die to make it look dramatic. Of course, I'll show you the numbers at the end. But this is a big Plasma Bomb. This is a big garrison to put on yourself. This is a huge risk army. This is 60 million resources to heal if it doesn't overflow your hospital. For me, and I know this because I just healed it. It's 60 million food, 60 million parts, and I don't know. 20 million cash or something. Not even that much. But that's a big heal. That's a big heal for most people. I mean, I just got out of the holiday event, so I had plenty of resources. But to risk that big of a march to get hit by your server boss, you should always trade favorably with Plasma. Instead, I lose 150 Tier 10. And what does he lose? 1 Tier 12 airship, 10 Tier 12 infantry, 7 Tier 11 airships, and 14 Tier 11 infantry. Now, only 150 of my 300 died. But the answer is this is not a fair trade. For when Plasma used to be the answer for high-level, mid-level players to still compete at a high level. High-level players could get punished by things like this. This is a lot of the reason I still play Bullet, because it doesn't make sense to go to real high-level commanders with high-level troops, because I'll get crushed by the people I want to fight. With Bullet, at least I can take a huge chunk out of their big, expensive army. But this is a problem. Plasma needs a huge buff. And Tier 12 Tear Space, that new ability that does bonus damage, is not helping Plasmas. It's taking more away from Plasmas, and Plasma Bomb isn't hitting as hard. So what do we need to do? All right, Plasma needs an adjustment. I don't know if it's the troops I'm using. I don't know. But Tier 12 is so big. It's so hard to kill him. It's ridiculous. So if anyone else is having that problem, you know my pain. But we'll get off the Plasma. I don't have a fix for the Plasma issue. I do have a fix for the Vega issue, though. Vega has replaced Golem. RIP, all you Golem mains out there still hanging on to him, still trying to just keep the Golem dream going. You can't deny it anymore. You know you're living in the past. Vega is the best main for offensive one-slot bust. He's better than Stella now because of these silly Tier 12 troops and the silly gear that everyone has with all this defense. His breakdown ability ignores defense buffs. That's why he's so good. That's why he can one-shot Tier 12 slots when no one else can. But most importantly, Vega is a B commander, not A and S. And what that means is that when you go and do the Awaken, it costs the cheap reagent instead of the expensive one. The expensive one is the one you get from A and S commanders. The cheap one is the one you get from C, D, B commanders. And here's an example. I run Bullet, and I awaken him 5 or 6 times a Galactic Battle all the time. No big deal. I still have 134 Seeds of Elf. Still! There's 150 Walker ones, 200 Airship ones. I never even used these ones. I have 134 left on my Bullet. That's my main. I've been doing this for almost a year with him because this reagent is so cheap. You get it so much from releasing 10. This is what Vega uses for airships. He uses the Cinnabar. Well, when you awaken, it lasts for 24 hours. And then you get a warning that says, oh, your awaken is going to fall off. Like here, awakening, expiration notice. Your commander's state of awakening will expire in 1 hour. Go to the commander page to check and awaken. The reason they tell you that is because every time you click awaken, it buffs your awakening. I think it's like 40, 46, 54. It just, whatever and the stats can change, but essentially every time you stack an awaken on top of an awaken, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't even know how high it can go. I've never even tried to take it up past like 10. But you can keep going, and you can keep that awakened for day after day after day after day. Maybe you wouldn't do it for normal server PvP, but in the playoffs, when you want to start in a round of 32 and then go 6 weeks of having him awakened every single day for 6 weeks straight, you can do it easy and on the cheap with Vega, because Vega's a B commander. So why is it that the best defensive commander in the game is an airship commander, Rogers? Why is it that the best counter to Rogers in the game is an airship commander in Reinhardt? And then why is it the most effective way to kill Rogers as a low-risk march is another airship commander, Vega? And that commander is a B class. Why? And then why is it that the tier 12 airships awaken hits so much harder than the tier 12 infantry and walker awaken skill? Why? Why did the developers do it? Did they not test this? Did they not take Stella versus Elf with 100 tier 12 and 100 tier 12 on both sides, or 100,000 troops worth of that troop, and just put them against each other with level 40 gear just to see what the simulation might turn out, and then compare Elf versus Rogers or Elf versus Reinhardt, and then Reinhardt versus Stella? Did they not like look at those numbers? Because I get it, man. When you start this game, like, it's so easy for the first 15 levels to see how tier 1 through 5 works together. It was a very simple, balanced game. The matchup, airships versus infantry makes sense, but right now it is so off. It is so off. Okay, so what do we need to do to fix infantry? I know the solution. It's very simple. We've always known the solution. Check it out. It's the same equation that we've always used. Death Angels, tier 9 infantry, are 150 units. 150 units. What that means is that for 150 units of troop food, you get 750 base damage. Ignore the bonus modifiers because my research is going to change, but just that 750. 150 units, 750 damage. Now, we go over to Walker tier 9. The units go up double, which is normal for airships. Infantry to walkers always doubles the amount of troops per slot. But look at the attack, 940. The amount of units goes up double, but the attack only goes up slightly. And that's okay, because Walker does. They're like a little more balanced in everything. But then airships for tier 9, instead of 150, it's 450. It's triple. So for every 3 infantry, you get 1 airship. And instead of the damage being 750 for infantry, and then 750 for infantry, instead of it tripling for airships, instead of being 2250, it's only 1045, which is more than 750, but it's more of a balance there too. I still think that's a little high for airships, for being honest, but the idea is that infantry are 3 times smaller, but they hit equally as hard. They're just way squishier with the defense and HP stats, and they rely more on dodge, which is easily countered by all these guaranteed hit gems that you can socket 3 and 4 sets of. So infantry doesn't have the tank ability, but where they make up for it is massive offense. And that's what they need. Stella with tier 12 infantry, even if she can get that terror space to trigger over and over and over, doesn't hit as hard as a single airship commander's 1 strike with terror ship because of how broken terror space and airships are. All you have to do is fix the damage on terror space so that 1 tier 12 infantry triggers and terror space damage is the exact same amount as 1 tier 12 airship. 1 infantry equals 1 tier 12 airship in damage for terror space. That's how you fix it. It's that simple. And the way that really helps is, yes, that still makes Rogers incredibly strong. Rogers is still going to be a problem. But now Stella can break through. Now Stella has a chance to actually crush through Rogers the way she was meant to. If they would fix it so that... man. Woo! We're going to go into a conclusion here in a second. I'm going to take a quick breather here. Whew. I hope this is the one. I got a few of these videos where I never publish them. I'm going to go into the conclusion in a second here. I want to throw this out there for you guys that are still hanging out watching this video. Thanks for being here. I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately, and I watch other people who make videos, and this channel went from being a purely instructional channel, just showing proof and making claims and helping my guildmates, to a channel where we actually have a community, we interact, we talk, memes happen within the community, and I want to say thanks to you guys for sticking it out and being a part of that. This has been a lot of fun for me. Best year of my life. Yeah, maybe. I don't know about that. It's been a great year. But, okay. Let's get to the conclusion. Tier 12 infantry is absolute garbage. Going into Season 7, we absolutely need a change. We need to make tier space for infantry hit as hard as airships per unit value. So when you have 3 times as many infantry per slot, even in the same leadership march against an airship commander, the damage should be 3 times higher. That's how you fix the tier 12 tier space problem. Next issue is Rogers. Rogers should not be allowed to go damage immune anymore. Bring in the Banhammer, bring in the Nerf, whatever. Nerf Rogers. He's been around for a year and a half. Their biggest fear was they launched Rogers. He was very expensive. He was $500 to get to S-Class based on the math I did when his event first came out. They can't just nerf him right away when they realize how good he is. They knew how good he was. They wanted to make money. Okay, it's been over a year. He's fucking the meta up. He needs to be nerfed. He needs to go down to 90%, not 100% damage immune. Or if you really need to give him a bone, if they trigger 6 out of 6 at an 80% chance, then let it go to 99.9% or something like that. Rogers should no longer be totally damage immune. It's got to stop. Walker class needs a viable 1-slot bus solution other than Hoodoo. I'll say it once, I'll say it again. Hoodoo is a utility commander. He's great for PvP. Low risk pocket Hoodoo marches. If you haven't seen the pocket Hoodoo video, Google it and go back. Great videos. It's a great way for lower level players to compete in the game and catch people off guard. Same with Plasma. I'd like to see Moonshadow get a buff maybe. I'd like to see Nekajiro's Sniper for infantry work more like Vega. Vega needs a nerf. Vega's too good. I actually like how good Vega is. I don't like the fact that he's a B commander because it is too easy to keep him awakened forever, which is really, really overpowering. If you realize what that means, he can basically be running around with like 400% resistance weaken effect, 500, 600 all the time. He can just keep his awaken up all the time. It doesn't cost anything. You just release 10 once a day, and most players have thousands of those low-level B crystals. Yeah, Vega needs to be either moved to A-class or nerfed. I don't need to nerf him. Just move him to A-class because it's too powerful. Plasma needs a buff. Plasma needs Quantum Blast to have an ability to hurt Tier 12. He does good against Tier 11. He does reasonably against Tier 11. But Tier 12, without even Tier Suppression, he sucks. My Tier 10 versus Tier 12 on Plasma is absolute garbage. To the point where, like, I have an expensive account. I have a lot of great gear. I've been playing the game a long time. And even to the best of my abilities, if I want to put a dent in the biggest players in the game, all I can do is use Bullet. That's it. Can't use Plasma anymore. I can't use Pocket Hoodoo to catch anyone off guard. I can't use Dodger Roger because Tier 12 versus Tier 10, there's a 100% guaranteed hit. I can't dodge him. So all I have going into a Galactic battle is really Bullet. Plasma if there's someone using Tier 11 or lower. Kinda. So it's a problem. Yeah. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything? I'm sure there's something I missed. I definitely go to the end of these videos and I look back and I'm like ready to start wrapping the video up. I'm like, oh, I totally forgot about something. I don't want to talk about the time and space war. I don't want to talk about research too much. No, it's just the meta. It's just the meta. So what do we do? What do we do to fix our game? You know, at the end of the day, the devs do hear us. They've straight up asked us for feedback on their next, quest battle thing. The next, not faction task. What is it called? God, I don't even know where to find it anymore. Where is it? Here it is. World event. People forget it's there, but it's been there since the beginning. They're asking us for what to do. Because they need our advice. We need to give them our advice, and that's what we need to do. We need to express this to them. So I don't know if I'm going to make this video public. I might just share it to the individual groups in the elite room. Station 22 people might only see this. We'll see. but we need to come up with something. And I don't need to email devs 50 or 100 emails from all the players telling them my ideas. Because maybe my ideas aren't that good. My ideas are new. They're not all patterned out. Maybe just fixing Rogers will fix everything. I don't know. People might start trying out different... there are no new commanders. We've explored them all. I don't know. So that's the list, guys. That's the list. Ready? One more time. Rogers needs to go down to 90% damage, meaning never 100. Needs to drop from 30% at level 60 to 15%. That fixes the Rogers issue. Tier 12 infantry, they need to have their tear space hit equally hard for one Tier 12 airship. Just balance it out, figure it out, Dev, figure out the average, research what it is and how it needs to map out. Because it is based on HP, but rework it if you have to. Airships should not be hitting harder than infantry. Airships counter should not be more airships. Vega needs to be pushed to A-class. Walkers need a commander buff. Maybe Moonshadow. Maybe a guaranteed hit skill commander. Maybe Chief. Maybe Galileo. Maybe pump his skills up. No, he's not King. Full Metal was a good idea, but I don't like the way he's set up. No, buff Moonshadow. There you go. Make Moonshadow more like Vega. Plasma needs a buff, or Tier 12 needs to be adjusted. I mean, your Tier 10 players are going to not quit, but they're going to lose interest. They're probably going to quit when they realize what it takes to get to Tier 11 and Tier 12. If you don't make it possible for players to play the game who've already spent thousands with their Tier 10 against the Tier 12, God forbid Tier 13 players, you're going to lose them. You are. Because if they're like me, they're just going to get frustrated. They're going to stick to playing their Ignore Tier Special Commander, where at least they know they can do something. But how long do you expect them to hang on, realistically? As a game developer, you have to consider that. Do you think they're just going to keep playing for 6 months, doing this minuscule thing, not being able to compete against accounts that are just blowing them out of the water every time they see them? You got to figure that something out. I don't know. Yeah. You have a lot of players coming up on Tier 9. They're making unlimited crystals easier to get. A lot of players coming into Tier 9. When they finally get there, they're going to get this feeling of accomplishment. They finally got to Tier 9. They've worked so hard. They've grinded every event. They've farmed arcs, 6 hours a day. They run multiple accounts. They finally get to Tier 9. They spent plenty of money. And they realize that even Tier 9 plasma bombs do nothing to Tier 11, Tier 12. Mostly Tier 12. And then they're just like, great, I spent all this time and money trying to get to Tier 9 so that I can finally have a real main commander like Vega or Stella or Elf or Rogers. And I realize my Tier 9 is useless against all this Tier 12. You've got to do something to adjust it. That's it. That simple. Going into Season 7, we need changes. Would we like to see some of the Galactic Battle rules change? Yeah, Tier 1 maybe shouldn't cost points. So that way airships aren't punished for fighting and walkers aren't punished for fighting. I mean, commanders can get bonuses off Rangers. Stella is way too powerful with just Rangers alone in the early game Galactic Battle. Just kind of makes it a stupid match. So Tier 1 shouldn't be worth points. I don't know. I'm sure everyone's got ideas about what to make the game better, but what they don't realize about their ideas is if the developers just said, all right, fuck it, let's just do what he wants to do, they might totally destroy the game. People don't realize how delicate a game can be. You can piss somebody off, and that turns out to be 30% of the player base, and then the next week their Play Store purchases go down 50%, and all of a sudden their game's ruined. I don't know if it's that volatile, but those are things to consider. People always throw out these ideas, and they're not always that great. But I do know that my ideas have some merit. I know a lot of players are really frustrated. We just looked at Soloy's account, or Suyuloy. Oh, God, I messed his name up so many times. He's a Tier 12 infantry player. He's a Stella main, Gilly main, and he's frustrated, right? Of course he is. We had Albatross in the Season 6 final in our broadcast with us. And he's a Vega airship commander, and he's doing okay, but he realizes that he has to main a Vega, and because he fights on his server, it's too risky to use a Rogers, I don't know. That's the rant, guys. I just needed to get that off my chest. I hope I did it justice. I hope I finally got to say. I hope I said it the way I wanted to say it, and I think people will agree, right? Am I off? Take this moment, if you're still here, thanks for being here, write in the comments below. Anything about the chat, things you agreed with, things you didn't agree with, ideas for balancing you have, throw them down in the chat. You might think that, there's 23 comments, don't interact. Interact. I see them all. I get the notices all the time. I respond to them, especially the good ones. And people are watching, and those comments last forever, 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. They might implement it later. But we need those ideas to keep the conversation going, right? So throw in your input. I want to hear it. Like the video. That always helps. Tell your guildmates about the channel if you don't. Just open up a guild all message. Hey, if you guys haven't checked out this Arc of War channel, you want to learn more about the game, boom, send them to the channel, youtube.com/c/Melt AOW, or just send a link to a video. You can do that too. But that's it. If you want to see more videos and they come out instantly, hit the bell icon. And that's the channel plug. So that's that, guys. I think I'm on with that one. I think I nailed it. I would like to see a better infantry commander than Stella, though. I'm just so sick of Stella. We replaced Golem. Can we replace Stella now? Really? Can we get Nekajiro back in this business? I don't know. Any commander that's super high tier, Vega, Reinhardt, Elf, Stella, Golem, Rogers, all those commanders, they're super high level. They should be S or A class, because you keep the Awaken on them all the time. Commanders like Rock and Bullet, who are ignore tier suppression, that use low tier, leave them low tier. Those players still want to play like me. I don't want to have to be floating an Awaken that costs the super expensive stuff all the time. People want to do that, let them do it with the lower commanders. That's fine. We don't have a huge advantage for playing those commanders against, real PvP fights. But the super high level commanders need to have the expensive Awakens, or they need to just do away with Awaken. I really don't know why they implemented that feature, but that's for another video. Next video we'll talk about, not next video, one of these videos, we need to talk about crit and crit wither. There's a lot of math that needs to be done there. Maybe I'll talk to Krylar and those guys, the Theory Crafters think tank. They're always working on cool math for the game. If you guys haven't checked out RidiculousBadger's YouTube channel, check it out. Also, he has a Discord setup where a lot of people hang out, and there's a lot of great information there. So I'll probably put that in the description below. If not, remind me. But that's it. Should we call it a fireside chat? I think that's appropriate for a full release. We won't just limit it to Station 22. If you're an Arc 22, if you're a high-level player, let's say you have over 25 million power, if you have at least tier 10 or higher, and you want to talk with the guys that are super high-level guild leaders, people like Albatross and Celluloid and the guys I hang out with, hit me up online, Melt AOW. Check the description below. Send me proof of your arc and say I want to join Station 22, and I'll get you in that room with the guys to talk about where we want the game to go. Not that our opinion matters, but hey, we got a channel, we got a voice, let's use it. So thanks for watching. That's the end of Fireside Chat number 8, 9? I don't know. I think I have 2 Fireside Chat 8s. I don't think I released them. We'll call this Fireside Chat number... Check the video description and thumbnail. That's the Fireside Chat number. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging around. Thanks for enjoying. I hope you enjoyed this rant. Thanks for watching. Blah, blah, blah. We'll see you in Season 7. Hopefully, there's a new big patch coming that fixes a lot of these issues. Nerf Rogers. We need to make a meme. Nerf Rogers. We're done with him. He's ruining the meta. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.